Hello, good afternoon, Chiang Mai. Good afternoon, TEDxChiangMai. It's a pleasure to share the space with all of you. I have 5 minutes, so I'm going to high-speed trail through this thing. So I'm a researcher, a podcaster, and a community weaver. And for the past 12 months, I spoke to 20 changemakers on my podcast with one core question. I spoke to futurists, healers, entrepreneurs from Thailand, Southeast Asia, around the world, with this core question of, what is the root of our climate crisis? What is the root of our health and the various crises that we're facing? How do we go deep? And why? I think all of us are familiar now with the reality that we face. Despite all these wonderful sustainable development goals that we set ourselves, despite all the targets that we have, the sad reality that I had to also sit with, which is our systems and our institutions, the one that we trust to steward us through this transition, human species, not just you and me, our entire species, is in so many ways part of the very problematic systems that we need to change. And how do we deal with this? How do we find the root of what is wrong? And as I started to explore this with some of my guests, we started to see that so much of our climate movement space is aimed at the symptom level, right? Carbon emissions are an outcome of the systems that we're living in. But what's at the root? What are the values that underpin the systems that we're in? And how do we find that? I had one guest who has been working on SDGs since 1993. His name is TEDxChiangMai, and he put this to me very starkly. 99% of human energy on climate change is misplaced, and almost zero energy is directed towards the ultimate solution, remembering true nature. And let's sit with that, because I think when we look at the board outside, the wonderful board that Martin and the team have put out, and all the SDGs, clean air, clean water, education, I think we all know we want this. Each one of us knows what we want. But the fact is that the systems that we're in don't seem to deliver that. So why is that? So some of us have seen that when we look deeper and we realize and we look at ourselves, is that we're operating with values that seemingly are disconnected. We live in worlds where our systems don't see the living world. Our systems see a dead world that we are seemingly separate from. Are systems where intuition is not measured or valued. Economic systems that do not value this. And as a result, we have the world that we have. We are living in a dark forest world, disconnected from each of us, disconnected from nature. And so the systems that we build just reflect this. It's not surprising. The systems that we're living in are actually designed perfectly, and they're delivering exactly what they're designed to do. So we need a root-level regeneration. And so the imagination journey that I'm on is, what if we lived in a light forest world? What if we saw that we live in a living world that we're all part of? How do we plant these seeds of regeneration in a light forest world when we are connected to each other and we're connected to this planet and we are caring as Earth, not caring for the Earth? It's an entirely different view. And for most of us, we know this, but how do we live it? How do we embody this? So for us, as a community that we're building in Chiang Mai, we're seeing emergence through community as our theory of change. A forest doesn't grow from a blueprint. It doesn't grow up in a hierarchical top-down way. It grows out through emergence, through many species coming together in their emergent forms. And so for us, it's also about not relying on the institutions, not relying on corporates. It's about community. It's about completely coming together and creating new institutions, new ways where we organize, create new economic models, create new ways of food, new ways of relating to each other, new ways of health. And that's what we've been doing in building this network here in Chiang Mai, where by bringing people together, we can hospice the existing system that's clearly failing and create space for new things to emerge. One of the guests that we talked about, that I had on my podcast, also talked about that we are all connected. As we start to make these shifts in our own lives, as I start to make these shifts in the communities I'm part of, change starts to happen and change starts to grow in this emergent fashion. And for living proof, I tell you to come downstairs to the Emerging Earth space just below this, where this is proof. For the last year, as a community, we've come for workshops, for residencies, and we've talked about these issues. All of us are researchers, change makers, but we're realizing that the core of the change has to start within. We are part of this problematic system, and so we have to start to make these shifts within ourselves. Today we talk about inner development goals. We have to live them, and that's difficult, that's messy, that takes healing, That takes really looking deep into our own value systems, and so that's what we're doing. I invite you to join us, join this movement, and I'd love to share more after with more space in 5 minutes. Thank you so much, Martin, and thank you so much, everybody. And thank you to all the people, all my community here, which would not have made this possible.